Welcome back to yet another edition of Survive to Thrive with me, Dr. Todd. Hey, we're going to talk about the concept and the idea that you are paralyzed, yet you can still walk. Now, what would I mean by that? Especially as a doctor that works with the nervous system, paralysis is one of the most severe things that anybody could ever go through. And there's a ton of research helping with spinal cord injuries, and I hope to see that in our lifetime. I saw that Elon Musk is with Tesla is going after trying to figure out a way to help people walk, and I might figure out a way to join him. It'd be super cool to get involved with a mind like that, and I have some ideas. But anyways, this is not the paralysis that we're talking about. We're not talking about today a physical paralysis, but what COVID has done, literally has done to a population, is caused paralysis here. That we are not moving like we used to move. And I knew this was going to happen. And we talked about it from a business standpoint, that a ton of people will essentially not want to test the waters. You're going to have a bunch of people that, even though our government, if you listen to the government and the government gives you or grants you your rights, that's totally up to you whether you accept that or not. There's some that are saying, hey, the government doesn't control me, I can go out. And others are saying, well, I need to listen to my government. This is not a debate about that. However, it is a concept that a lot of people decided to not go out. They're just like, I'm just going to wait. And we have this paralysis, like you open the door, you sneak out a little bit, and it's like, no, not ready yet. And paralysis. Now, often we get a very active group here, a very health conscious group, and that group is usually healthy in the mind. So if you're listening to this, you're probably there and you're like, oh, doc, this really doesn't equate to me. Wait for a second, because we're going to dive in. I'm going to show you how this worked for me. We are making some moves. We are trying to do some great things in our office. And it was like the plane was going down in March. As this pandemic was released, the plane was going down. And the first thing that you do when a plane is going down is you just try to get it stable. You stabilize it and you fly the plane. You don't worry about anything else. You don't worry about trying to communicate to say Mayday, Mayday. You don't do anything but just fly the plane. Because if you can't fly the plane and you crash it, none of all that matters. And so it was the same thing when the pandemic hit. I know in my business, it was just like, okay, let's stabilize this puppy. What do we need to do? We need to communicate to people. We want to know people, let people know that they can come in, that we are essential, and then beyond essential, we are crucial to their health and staying adjusted, keeping the stress levels down when the body's in pain. It's exposed more to virus and viral infiltrates and things like this. So we just went into this massive mode of communicating. And so we stabilized. However, over the month or two, it's just been this passive, almost paralysis. And part of it in me, and I'll show you how this manifested in me, but it's also manifested in people. People are like, I don't know, maybe I just... So what I'm asking you today is, where is this paralysis showing up? I want you to dive deep, because the problem is, if you can't recognize where this has caused a bit of paralysis, meaning there's an infiltrate of fear that you have just kind of, what if? And I don't care whether it's like, I don't believe in the virus. I'm with you. All right? I don't believe in the virus either, meaning this virus is no more virulent than the flu. We know that the numbers are coming across at this, unless the government knows something different, meaning they put some weird strain in there. It's manufactured out of China. I don't know. Whatever conspiracy you want to jump into, that's not the point of today's podcast. And the aspect it is no more virulent than anything else, which means you get it, you're going to survive. All right? You get it, you're going to survive. And so you don't see it as a viral infiltrate, but it has caused this element of fear. You may be feeling betrayed by the government, and you feel betrayed, and so that has caused some fear. That you have a backpack that you carry around with lots of ammo and guns just in case. That's me. I didn't do that. No, sorry. Just kidding. I lost all my guns in a kayak accident. It tipped over in the lake, and all my guns went down. This is just my story. I'm sticking to it. No, here's the concept, though. Something out of this, you have grasped an element of fear that has fundamentally changed the way that you've operated. And you have put yourself into this mode of just kind of waiting. You're just waiting. And I found myself needing these big decisions in my world. And I'm going to unveil these here shortly, all right? Not today. But it's big decisions that we had to make. And these big decisions were like, but I just found myself just waiting for them to come to me. I'm like, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait and see how this all pans out. I'm going to wait for this. And I'm going to wait for this. And these benchmarks that needed to happen, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait actually for other people to do the things that they need to do. They're going to do their moves. And then I'll act. I'll react, so to speak. And so I found myself, and I wrote about this morning, I found myself in multiple areas just waiting. And it's just kind of like seeing what's going to happen. Now, this is the paralysis that I have adopted. And I'm being honest about this. I've adopted this paralysis because of all the shit that was coming, not on a day-to-day basis, not on a weekly basis, not on a monthly basis. It was hour by hour. And it's like a new group of patients would come in and they're like, hey, doc, did you hear about this and that? I'm like, oh, no, what now? And our staff just joke about it all the time. It was a policy change after policy change after policy change. It was like, I don't know, what are we going to do? Well, let's go this way. And then we start going this way, and then we just started going this way. Anybody feel that? All right, as gyms closed down and you couldn't go to your gym, you couldn't go to the grocery store, you could go to the grocery store. How is this going to pan out? I had a trip, I can't go on a trip, I can't move, I can't do all these types of things. And so we just got scrambled. But see, the mind reacts to this and goes into kind of just like this steady state. All right, so the problem is that somewhere in your world, just like me, you've gone into paralysis. It might be analysis paralysis, but you've gone into paralysis where you're just not moving. You haven't got back to the gym yet. You haven't started an exercise routine back into the routine yet. Everybody joked about the quarantine 15. All right, it's that poundage that you gained just because you allowed yourself to be able to be quarantined. I get it. Marin and I had sat around and talked about it. It was like, it's kind of nice. Like, we can have dinner at a normal time. We're not running off and stuffing a hoagie down our kids' throat while they go to baseball practice. Or coming home late at night and trying to be like, do you want to cook? I don't want to cook. What are we going to cook? And trying to get all these types of things. It's been like, I don't even know if I ever want to go back. I don't care. Like, Kellen, sorry, you're not going to be a professional baseball player. Not that you couldn't, but your mom and dad have decided that sports are off the table. Oh, no, but seriously, baseball's back on for us, and we're seeing these little, and we've looked at each other and we're like, oh, it was kind of nice. It was kind of nice. All right, but the kids need activities. I get it. But this is where we got into paralysis on this because it's like, I don't want to move. This has been really nice. It's kind of like we've taken the hustle and bustle that the Americans are used to, producing at high levels, moving at high levels of stress, high levels of doing things, and then shut it all down, and the body's like, hey, I like this. And it's for many, I see this happening in our office, for many, it's like, I need to do some stuff, but I'm not doing it. And this could be across the board. So I'm asking you to recognize the problem that somewhere in your world right now, you need to make a move. You need to get some momentum back. You need to actually kindle that fire, like stoke the fire and get that thing going again. All right? And I'm asking you where it is because the possibility on the other side is that in a world of paralyzed people, in a world of people not doing anything that they need to be doing, you can start moving for you and start creating what you want. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to these podcasts. That's why you're here on these things, because you have an element of your world that you want to improve. So it's across in your body, in your relationships, in your connections with God, in connections with your kids or your significant other. It's in your workplace or your business, your career path, whatever it may be. So what I'm asking you to do, live people on Facebook, is just comment where you see this. So for me, it was in business moves. I was waiting for all these things to stack up. And I'm just going to wait to hear from this person before I do something. I'm going to actually wait for this to transpire. And then I'll think about doing something. And I wrote about it today. And here's the solution. Is first to recognize it, then to write it out and get to the facts of what it is. For me, it was like I'm writing all these facts. I'm like, well, that's dumb. That's just an old story that I was telling myself. We need to get moving on these things. And see, here's the solution. Once you get to the facts of it, you look at these types of things that it may be, and I'll walk you through some scenarios, but you look at the facts of whatever you're stalling on, whatever you've been paralyzed with, all you need to do is just create movement in one area. And as you create movement in just that one area, you see it start to steamroll in other areas. So what did I do immediately to fix this paralysis? I put 4 things that I could do today that would set this whole thing in motion. And so no more being passive, more so playing offense and being aggressive. Did a podcast on this previously, that the best defense is an offense. The best offense is an offense. So think about that. The best way to play defense is to play offense. I told Kellen this, as he loves playing a defensive back. He's like, I'm on defense. I love defense. And so I'm like, yeah, but in defense, you love defense because you get to play offense. He said, what do you mean? I said, you go up and smack somebody. You hit them and knock them off their course. Don't let them play offense with you. You play offense with them on defense. He's like, I don't get it. I was like, I know, it's confusing. It's very confusing. I said, but what if you disrupt that person's plan? He goes, the receiver? I go, yeah. What if you disrupt their plan? He said, well, what's their plan? I'm like, their plan is to go out and catch the ball. And they have a pattern to run. They have a pattern that they need to run. And you disrupt that. Make it harder. He goes, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, that's playing offense on defense. All right? And so where do you need to play offense today? Where do you actually need to put some stuff in motion to be able to score? And that's what I'm asking you. Everybody's got some area. So where have you been letting an element of fear that you thought that actually I'm okay. I don't believe in this coronavirus. I don't believe that it's virulent. I don't believe in you've been betrayed by a government. You've been betrayed by a virus, meaning that a virus is put through that's not virulent. It's never been put through the test. The scientific community did not put it through Koch's postulate to be able to say, hey, this is virulent. This is more virulent than XYZ. All right. And so we got duped on that. And then the government has actually shut us down in our economy. And the government said, I got more control. And then we have riots. And then we have all this race issue. You have been betrayed. Your mind is sitting there going like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Because I can't talk about this. I can't move on this. And we've had all these things come together. So where in your world today are you paralyzed? Where in your world are you today that you're paralyzed, that you need to make some action steps that'll get some momentum? I don't care what it is. So maybe it's in a relationship. You're just like, I'm afraid to go out. I've lost some friends, but I don't know how to start in your body. Go get out and exercise. You'll see some momentum in other aspects. Or you're like, I've given up my exercise. I've been afraid to get out. Or I had all this other stuff going on. And I've let this fall. That's okay. Start it again today. So give 3 things that you could do in some area of your life that if you get them done today, is going to create some momentum where you stop the paralysis. Because you're moving about your day. You're moving about your day. I have this conversation with patients. Our staff has this conversation with patients when they were like, hey, I'm too afraid to come in. I'm like, are you going to the grocery store? Well, yeah, I got to get food. Did you go to the gas station? Yeah, I got to get gas. I was like, I get it. So just swing in and get your adjustment because it's just as important. The food that you eat, the water that you drink, and your spine staying adjusted. That's it. And people were like, well, okay, that makes sense. And so we started some momentum for some people. They were just like, I can see this. And in that momentum of just like, I'm going to be okay. And when you start to tell your brain that I'm going to be okay, this is okay. The fear that had settled in, that you have unwillingly adopted, meaning the brain works off of that, is like perceived threat. I'm going to back away. You need to tell it it's okay. And you do that by just starting with a little bit of momentum in your world. Little bit of momentum. So we had somebody comment to walking, better diet, and devotionals. Awesome. That is like, if nothing else, you're exercising, eating well, and connecting here. Connecting here. You take your thoughts, you think about them, and you ask for up above. Like, what is this all about? And you seek there. One of the things that I've done 100% through all this is not sought the counsel of Facebook. I have not sought the counsel of anybody else. I've sought the counsel from the Supreme. I look up, like, what is this all about? And then I actually write about it, because I get actually conversation through a ton of writing and texting and myself. And just like, what is this all about? All right, so beautiful. I appreciate that on live with us on Facebook. Give it a big old heart. All right, but again, where in your world do you need that? That's a beautiful example of just getting some momentum. All right, getting back on track. That's one thing that this country could do to solve all of its woes, is to not let fear settle in, or to recognize the fear that has settled in. There's so many people that have blinders on that don't even realize that fear has settled in. I've heard this in a baseball team. There's a younger baseball team with a bunch of parents that are like, nope, not going to do it. What do you mean you're not going to do it? There's other teams that could show up. Well, that's the whole point of baseball. Like, your kid's playing baseball and other kids are going to come. Do you realize that this virus is not virulent? Do you realize that you were exposed? Do you realize that you were exposed daily? Do you realize that there's millions and millions and millions of viruses in our natural virome? Come on, let's get over it. Let's get over it and move on. Do not let this government change our world. Do not let this government change the way we do life, the way we connect with people. I'm still shaking hands. I'm like, you okay with this? Look at me in the eye. Like, literally, so I do it. Look me in the eye. You okay with this? Because if not, you and I need to have a conversation. We need to talk about why you are fearing a virus, why you're fearing a handshake, why you're fearing connection, why you're fearing all these things. And so I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you here. I'm going to challenge you if you come to my office. I'm going to challenge your thoughts. I'm going to challenge those beliefs so that you may find some momentum in all of this. This is all I got for you today. But in love and light, move. We gain our country back. We get rid of the anger. We get rid of the race. We get rid of the discrimination. We get rid of the hate by getting out and moving and connecting again. Releasing endorphins instead of sitting back and having these fear hormones start to cascade through our bodies. Get out and move. Get out and meet. Get out and go. Yes, that's my message. That is my message today. Stop being paralyzed and move. In love and light, I'm Dr. Todd. We shall talk to you